Ladies and gentlemen, Ibrahim, today is December 24th, 2023. Again, Merry Christmas in advance to everybody. This message is for Ambassador Brian Hunt, of course, the States Department, the international partners, that of ECOWAS as well, and, every security agency basically that cares about peace and stability in the West Africa region or Africa as a whole, but specifically for Sierra Leone at this particular point in time. But first of all, before I even, start my message to Ambassador Brian Hunt to call his attention to a few things again, um, let me just start with thanking the President of Ghana, President Nana Akufo, and President of Senegal for taking their time to be proactive, because this is what Africans have been calling for, and this is what Sierra Leoneans have been calling for. It's about being proactive, because what has happened over the years, and we've seen this across the world with grave disasters that have occurred over the years, when you talk about like genocides and all of that, what has happened is because proactive measures were not taken. And we saw how things degraded and got to the point where thousands and millions of people lost their lives. So we go all the way back to the Holocaust, the Nazi Germany getting rid of Jews and all of that stuff, all the way to Rwanda, the genocide, talking about the brutal rebel war that occurred in Sierra Leone as well. We have to make sure that proactive steps are taken. So this is a very laudable effort by the president of Ghana and Senegal and everybody else, ECOWAS, that were part of the team that paid a visit to Sierra Leone on the 23rd to see the current sitting, acting president of Sierra Leone. Because again, I want to remind everybody, we don't have the elections results of June 24th, 2023. Therefore, whatever government is in power right now in Sierra Leone is illegitimate. It does not have the will of the people as prescribed by Section 5, subsection 2, which says the government sovereignty belongs to the people. And through this constitution, the government derives its legitimacy, its authority, and its power from the people. And the only way a government can get legitimacy and gain, power and authority from the people is when elections are organized and the people's vote are counted and it reflects the outcomes of that result. That is how presidents are picked in Sierra Leone and across the world. And that is what democracy is all about. So now that I've laid the spadework of that, let me talk to Ambassador Brian Hunt. And I've always done this also, when Ambassador, David Reimer was there. But I want to say again, many, many thanks to Ambassador Hunt. We've seen the effort he has been making. He's very open, very transparent. He's, very forthcoming. He believes in bringing democracy to the people. Therefore, that's why, when you look at the Twitter page of the U.S. Embassy, Freetown, is very, again, proactive in his steps. And he always wants to keep the people in the know and let Sierra Leoneans know how he feels. The last tweet I saw was him congratulating Sierra Leoneans about the setup of the tripartite committee, getting to work and this and that. Ambassador Hunt, I want to thank you. I want you to know, Sierra Leoneans, to be honest with you, in as much as we appreciate that, but that is not what we are looking for. But at the same time, we appreciate the fact that you are there and you're doing what you're doing. But what I want to talk to you about is the fact that I'm currently in the verge of proposing a legislation to Congress. And these are some of the things we have to keep in mind, because you see, President Joe Biden's agenda is to protect democracy across the world. And that was how he started with the Democracy Summit that he organized, back in 2021 when he took over and all of that. And President Joe Biden has made it very clear that he's willing to stand with the voices that are there to defend democracy.
One of the most important ways we can effectively enhance security and reduce violence is by seeking to improve the lives of the people all over the world who see that their governments are not serving their needs. Corruption fuels inequality, siphons off a nation's resources, spreads across borders, and generates human suffering, is nothing less than a national security threat in the 21st century. Around the world, we're increasingly seeing citizens demonstrate their discontent, seeing the wealthy and well-connected grow richer and richer, taking payoffs and bribes, operating above the law, while the vast majority of the people struggle to find a job or put food on the table, or to get their businesses off the ground, or simply send their children to school. People have taken to the streets in every region to demand that their governments address people's basic needs, give everyone a fair shot to succeed, and protect their God-given rights. And in that chorus of voices across languages and continents, we hear a common cry, a cry for dignity, simple dignity. As leaders, it's our duty to answer that call, not to silence it. The United States is committed to using our resources and our international platform to support these voices, listen to them, partner with them to find ways to respond that advance human dignity around the world.
So, Ambassador Hunt, let me just introduce myself. I don't think I've done that enough. And I'm sure you know everything about me. You don't need to, I don't need to do this. But of course, my name is Ibrahim Fona, and I'm currently a Master Sergeant in the United States Air Force. I was born in Sierra Leone. And I care about what is happening in Sierra Leone. I care about the well-being of Sierra Leoneans. I care about democracy as a whole. So even though I'm in the military, yes, I still have a right to participate in my own way. And that is why I've been writing, I've been advocating, teaching civic education as a responsible citizen who believes in democracy and believes in the rights of citizens to participate in our democracy. There are limits to what we can do, and I know my limits. And therefore, I'm not stepping beyond those bounds. But at the same time, I have a responsibility as a serving member to ensure that we protect humanity and we protect the wrong that is actually happening in Sierra Leone. So this is why I'm proposing a legislation. And I want the U.S. Embassy Freetown to know this, because I'm going to push it through Congress. I'm going to write every Congress member that I could. I know somebody's going to listen to me. And if we are to protect democracy in Africa, and in Sierra Leone specifically, we have to start holding the enablers, the aiders and abettors of despotic governments in Sierra Leone. And you see what we have today, Ambassador Hunt. I mean, I'm sure you've been briefed on every event that has occurred in Sierra Leone. The Makeni massacre, classic example, when citizens were killed, massacred because of a generator. Because of a generator. It should not happen. You would all agree. We can all agree that people should not be killed because they protested against the government not to take their generator. But we see again the same event occurred in the southeastern part of the country and nothing was done, Ambassador Hunt. And that's what happened there. We saw again Mile 91, the Tombo incident, Lonsar, all of these atrocities has occurred in the northwestern part of the country, right? We saw the protests. We saw how citizens lost their lives. Again, Section 25 and Section 26 of the Constitution protects all of these rights of citizens. Nobody should die because of a protest. So, if we are going to stop the decline and the decadence of democracy in Sierra Leone, those that are in the diaspora that are supporting these political parties back home should pay a price. And America cannot give them solace and comfort where they enjoy the fruits of democracy that your forefathers, Ambassador Brian Hunt, your forefathers fought for the democracy and the freedoms that we enjoy today in the United States of America. And I believe down deep from the bottom of your heart, you are a very good man. And I know that is something that you want to see for every race, regardless of where they are. America fought for that. Therefore, it is important that if we are going to preserve democratic rights, human rights, civil liberties, and political rights of citizens in Sierra Leone, we have to start holding accountable those that are in the diaspora that are supporting despotic governments like what we have in Sierra Leone at this particular point in time. The ones that have been calling for the killings and massacres of citizens in Sierra Leone. How can they sit overseas and use their tribal connections, use their political connections to call for the arrest of citizens back home in Sierra Leone just because they have political power and tribal connections. How can they sit in America and be able to call for the police back home in Sierra Leone or the security agencies in Sierra Leone to just go after people, arrest them, kill them, torture them, maim them, destroy families just because they are part of the tribal connections that they have in that country? How can we let these people stay in the United States of America with their families, live a good life, enjoy the privileges that Americans fought for all these years? How can they sit in America and be destroying the rights of other citizens in Sierra Leone that are powerless? Ambassador Hunt, if we are going to protect democracy, and again, to the White House, President Joe Biden, given the vision that we have to preserve democracy because it is dying every day. We see dictators everywhere across the world giving birth to dictatorship and authoritarianism where people cannot express themselves. We have to stop it. We have enough of the North Koreans. We have enough of the Russians. We have enough of all of these people that are taking advantage of the rights of citizens. So therefore, that is why I'm proposing to Congress a legislation that should seek to ban, deport, and strip citizenships off of these individuals, that the records are there to show, evidences are there to show, their YouTube pages are there to show, their TikTok pages are there to show, the evidences, the videos are there to show how they've been carrying on themselves, taking advantage of citizens, violating the human rights, just because they have power they have connections to the powers that be in Sierra Leone. So therefore, Sierra Leoneans in the diaspora who are not standing up to protect democracy, protect the civil liberties of people, who are not standing up with the Constitution to protect the rights of Sierra Leoneans, the rights to free speech, the rights to protest, the rights to assembly, the rights to association, the rights to belong, the rights to free movements, the rights to education, all of these things. If these people are in the diaspora, they are sitting in the United States, basking in this bastion of democracy, basking in this beacon of hope and light for the world where America is that country today. Why can we let these people stay in the United States and enjoy the freedoms with their families, their kids, their wives, their husbands, their brothers, their sisters, their family members? They're enjoying peace. They are enjoying judicial processes that are just for everybody, but they continue to destroy our judiciary systems back home. They continue to destroy the police back home. They continue to destroy the security agencies back home, continue to destroy the military back home, because till this day, what we lack is strong institutions. And this is what even President Barack Obama made it very clear.
So we have to stop pretending that countries that just hold an election where sometimes the winner somehow magically gets 90% of the vote because all the opposition is locked up or can't get on TV is a democracy. Democracy depends on strong institutions, and it's about minority rights and checks and balances and freedom of speech and freedom of expression and a free press and the right to protest and petition the government and an independent judiciary and everybody having to follow the law.
What we lack in Africa is strong institutions. We don't want strong men in power. What we lack is strong institutions. It made it very clear. I want you to listen to this. Listen to this, Ambassador Hunt.
We have to stop pretending that countries that just hold an election where sometimes the winner somehow magically gets 90% of the vote because all the opposition is locked up or can't get on TV is a democracy. Democracy depends on strong institutions, and it's about minority rights and checks and balances and freedom of speech and freedom of expression and a free press and the right to protest and petition the government and an independent judiciary and everybody having to follow the law.
Absolutely. That's President Barack Obama. And so, Ambassador Hunt, I just want to remind you, and again, to every member of Congress out there, because I'm going to try to share this with as much people as possible. President Joe Biden, the State Department, everybody, I'm doing this in English. In as much as some of my brothers back home would not understand, or my sisters back home might have a hard time understanding what I'm saying, but that is why I'm taking my time very slowly to talk about these things. We have a right to participate in a democracy. Just because I don't support the SLPP does not mean I should be targeted for killing. And this is what has been happening by individuals in the United States or other parts of the world that are supporters of this government, fanatics that are going out there, marking people for death, sitting overseas and calling the police back home to target citizens because they've been critics of the government. So they are finding every avenues to tarnish and bring disregard and defamating the characters of these individuals, terming them as copists and haters and abettors. Now the common thing is being charged with by association. That is what they've done to President Kuruma currently, because he's been taking pictures with people. So now that if somebody shows up, they say, oh, this person is part of a coup. This person is part of a security breach. Now because he took a picture with President Kuruma, oh, this person is guilty. So guilty by association now. That is what Sierra Leone has turned to, Ambassador Hunt. Or you're on a platform with, for example, retired Sergeant Amadou Koita, who was in Freetown. We don't know what he's charged for, but he's arrested by the police. That's what we heard. Because we're on the same platform. We talk about issues affecting Sierra Leone, issues affecting democracy, where Sierra Leoneans have seen today everything that we've said has come to pass. The fact that oppositions will not do what it's supposed to do. People are suffering. Democracy was dying. Nobody could stand up to this despotic SLPP government. We said all of these things. We talked about the PR system that was introduced. We talked about the members of parliament that were removed. How all of that is not good for a democratic state. How all of that is going to bring impasse, terrible impasse into our nation. All of these things. Oh, all of a sudden, because this man, because we're all in the same platform talking about these issues, we invite ourselves from different parts of the world to talk about this. Oh, now we're guilty by association because, oh, we were on the same platform. So now these individuals are connected. They know exactly what is happening. We don't even know what this our brother is charged with. He's a Sierra Leonean who has a right to visit Sierra Leone. Yes, he might have gone to Sierra Leone without letting some of us know. But that is his right. It is his country. He is a big man. He is autonomous. He has a right to do what he wants to do without asking anybody's permission. So these are the things we're saying. So there are folks in the diaspora that are pushing these kinds of narrative. They've cost lives over the years. I can give you countless examples. There's so many silent citizens that do not have a name. So we cannot even call their names now because we don't know them. They're not known. They're not political figures. They're not considered important people in society. So these are people that are arrested, killed, and nobody knows about their whereabouts. That is the Sierra Leone that we have, Ambassador Hunt, over the years. And it should stop. And if it's going to stop, we have to stop the enablers that are living overseas. And this is something I'm pushing for, even across Europe. Every European country, I'm going to push these legislations out there so Sierra Leoneans can take it with their members of parliament in London, in France, in Germany, all across the world. Because we have to push for this. If you're not promoting democracy in Africa, in Sierra Leone, if that is not what you're doing to protect democracy and advance the dictates of democracy, then you have no place. You cannot be disenfranchising people because they don't support your political party or they don't support your government. So when small thing happens, every little thing that happens, now these people are targeted. This has been going on since 1999, pointing out people, killing them, family members getting targeted. This is 2023. With the birth of the fourth industrial revolution, there is no way we're going to tolerate this to happen. And that is why, Ambassador Hunt, I'm calling on you. I want your support to help me push this legislation in Congress to ensure that dual citizens, especially Sierra Leoneans, that are in the United States of America, that continue to support, give aid, give solace, give comfort to despotic governments in Sierra Leone, should be stripped of their citizenship, should be deported back to Sierra Leone. They should not have a place to enjoy democracy in the United States of America. They should either stand by democracy, push democratic principles, but not use their platforms, their connections, their tribal connections, their political connections to disenfranchise the voices of reasoning, the voices of critics, the critical voices that have been opposing government and telling governments to do the right thing by Sierra Leoneans. The critics that are calling on governments to ensure that they provide the basics that our people need: electricity, water, clothing, housing, good infrastructure, proper education. if they're not pushing these agenda, but are rather using their tribal connections and political connections to silence critical voices, these people should not have an opportunity to sit in America. Ambassador Hunt, is that too much to ask for? And that is why I'm calling on all Sierra Leoneans in the diaspora. Write to your congressman. There is a classic case. I've taken up a case right now that is through the court system. There is a certain individual of the SLPP party. I'm not going to call his name anymore, but everybody knows exactly what I'm talking about because the matter is in court. I don't want to, I don't want to jeopardize my own case. But there's a certain individual that I'm going to set a precedent on. I'm going to use as a case example in the diaspora to show how people use their tribal and political connections to defame, bring emotional distress, and therefore they should suffer punitive damages for their actions. They should understand that just coming out and leveling accusations against citizens of Sierra Leone because they are critical or because they oppose their own government or political party that they support, it should not be condoned. So that case is in the court system. He's going to be an example. He's going to be part of the legislation that I'm going to put forth. He's a case study in that legislation that I'm currently writing to put forth to Congress so that this issue can be looked into. If America is going to protect democracy, then it has to be an whole front approach. It has to come from all angles. Because again, some of these governments, they don't operate by themselves. They operate with the help of these, folks that are actually pushing the flames and igniting the flames of terror, tribalism, nepotism, destruction of democracy. These governments seek their sources and their advice from these individuals overseas that are actually the ones who are not there, but the ones pushing for these despotic acts, this cruel acts against democracy in Sierra Leone, violating the civic rights of citizens. It is these people in the diaspora that are doing it. And if we can take care of these people in the diaspora, I promise you, democracy in Sierra Leone would be for all. It would not be for some. The police would do better. The security agencies would do better. It is individuals overseas. They're the ones that are fanning the embers and flames of, tribalism, destruction of our nation, of our democracy, taking away the civil rights of our people, taking away the political rights of our citizens. In Sierra Leone today, to protest is a crime. In Sierra Leone today, to speak up about what is wrong is a crime. You'll be targeted, you'll be marked, you'll be killed, you'll be executed, you'll be tortured. Why? In a democracy, Ambassador Hunt. It is a democracy. Why should that happen in the 21st century? So America has to do more. And we've seen the efforts of President Joe Biden. And therefore, I'm asking you, Ambassador Brian Hunt, I'm asking the State Department, I'm asking every member of Congress in the United States that care about democracy outside of the U.S. Because when other countries have peaceful and stable democracies, the U.S. is going to have less to worry about. Your foreign policies would not be so stretched and strained. If we can have proper democracy in Sierra Leone, it takes away a lot of pressure from the U.S. government. Like what you're doing now, Ambassador Hunt, you have to be in the middle of everything. You have to try to foster peace. You have to try to, because these governments are not doing what they're supposed to do because they have aiders and abettors in the diaspora that are pushing for the destruction of democracy back home. So if we are to fight for stable democracy in Sierra Leone, it has to start in the diaspora. Those voices, as long as we can provide the evidences, the videos of them saying, we're going to destroy you, go arrest this person, go target this person. And these people are arrested, they're killed. The Sherifu Keruz, who was a member of parliament that was killed in Furabe Road. He represents that Furabe community. MP, member of parliament, Sherifu Kiru was arrested because these people in the diaspora keep calling. They say, oh, he's training thugs to attack the government. Oh, all of this fickle, just crazy accusations against people. And they've lost their lives. And we haven't had justice up till this day. Nobody's questioned anybody. So Ambassador Hunt, it has to stop. And that is why I'm calling on you. I need your help. You have to help me push this legislation. I'm going to try and make sure I send a copy to your embassy so you can have a copy of it. I'm going to email it to the U.S. Embassy. But I want you to help me push this legislation in Congress. Because if America is to enjoy some peace and not be strained with their foreign policies, it has to start with countries like Sierra Leone, a country with less than 8 million people or 9 million people. We deserve to have a better democracy where everybody's right should be respected. Everybody's rights to free speech, as is in the Constitution, should be protected. Everybody's right to protest should be protected. Everybody's right to association should be protected. We should get to that place, Ambassador Hunt. We had an elections on June 24th. I know it's a shame, Ambassador Hunt, that we had to have a dialogue and a communique just to foster a little bit of peace. When the people went out to vote, we could not even have a result. We could not even have the results of the elections. And Ambassador Hunt, I just want you to know, you hear all the fires that are currently occurring in the country. Fires at neck buildings, fires everywhere. Why? Because we would never have these results. So instead of us sitting by, why don't we hold another elections, Ambassador Hunt? Why don't we call for an elections right now? Why don't we call for another elections and let the people's voice be heard? It's a democracy. But I just wanted to admonish everybody. Ambassador Hunt, I want to thank you for listening. I want you to know, please help me with pushing for this legislation that's going to be calling for the United States government to strip off the citizenship of any Sierra Leonean based in the diaspora in the United States specifically that has been part of the clan that has been calling for the arbitrary arrest and summary executions of Sierra Leoneans in Sierra Leone and outside of Sierra Leone just because they have divergent views, just because they're not supporting their political party, just because they don't support the actions of the governments of the day. When the rights of citizens were taken from them, when they were killed at Makeni, killed at Padembaru prisons, killed at Lonsar, killed at Tombo, killed at Mile 91, all of these places, it's in the northern part of the country. These diasporans are sitting overseas and instructing the police to do these dirty jobs for them because they have their tribal connections and political connections. It should not be tolerated. It should come to an end. The end is now. Thank you, everybody. Have a beautiful Sunday. And Merry Christmas in advance again to all of those that are celebrating Christmas. Bye-bye. Master Sergeant Fauna.